Hey, it's Mrs. Davis bringing you another math lesson today. We're going to be using our two-dimensional shapes to help us, but we're going to be doing something new. Let me introduce you to some words that we're going to be using when we're working on math today. Today we're going to be using our two-dimensional shapes in a new way. We're going to be fractioning, dividing, partitioning our two-dimensional shapes into equal parts. We're going to be using a straight line to help us, and we're going to start with whole shapes. And when we use our straight lines, we're going to be sectioning our whole shapes into two equal parts. So we'll be dividing them in half using a straight line. And when we look at our whole shape that's divided in half, we'll see two halves of a whole. Now we're going to be using some simple shapes to help us today to practice. Since I'm not at school, I'm having to use some things around my house. Hey, I can do that if I need to. I did remember to grab, when I left school, my fractional pieces. I want to start with this whole shape, a circle. So I'm looking at a circle and I'm thinking about different ways that I can take a straight line and I can divide this circle in half. I'm going to start thinking about this circle and I want to find the center of it. I'm going to start with a vertical line. I'm going to be going down with my straight line. I've got some helper pieces here that can show you to illustrate what a circle that's divided in half equally looks like. I'm going to leave these two parts separated just so you can see that line. So here is what a circle that's divided in half in two equal parts looks like if we use a vertical line. I can also go straight across the center of the circle, and I can separate and divide and fraction this circle into two parts using that horizontal slice with my straight line. I can go straight across the middle. And there's one more way that I can take a straight line and divide this whole circle in half. Can you guess what it is? Yeah, I'm going to use a diagonal slice. So I'm just going to slant this model here. Okay, so I could find the side of the circle and take that straight line and slant it. Now I found three different ways to fraction a circle into two equal parts. I've got two halves of this whole. If I pull one off, I've just pulled off a half of the circle. I can also do this with a rectangle. I have my little rectangle helper that I'm going to pull out. I'm going to replace that circle. This is a whole rectangle, and I've got some pieces here that some fractioned pieces that I can use to help me model. I'm going to think about that vertical slice first with that straight line. I've got two halves of this whole rectangle. I've divided into two equal parts. If I pull one part away, I've just pulled away one half of the rectangle. Now you can also slice this rectangle horizontally and get two equal parts. So there's what the horizontal slices. If I sliced it, or if I divided this rectangle in half using a horizontal line, then I would still have two equal parts, and I can pull off one half of that rectangle. You can also use a diagonal slice or line, straight line, to separate this whole shape into two equal parts. Okay, so let's review now. We have been fractioning two-dimensional shapes. We have been dividing them into equal parts. We've taken whole shapes, divided them in half using a straight line in different ways. And then we could see when we did that we had two halves. Now here's what I want you to do for practice today. I want you to look around your house for a circle. I want you to find a true circle. You could maybe find a coin like a quarter or a $50 or 50-cent piece, or a lid to something. Not too big, but not too small. And your spirally that you've been using at home, or even a piece of paper, I want you to trace. Now I've already traced with my pencil my circle shape, and I actually traced 2 on the front and 2 on the back. So I want you to get 4 traced all together. All right, go ahead and find a circle shape and get a pencil and get your paper. I'll be right here when you get back. You know I am. All right, I'm glad that you found your materials. Now, here's what we're gonna do. Take your circle. Again, you know that I've already traced mine. Just hold that shape and go ahead and trace around it. Do 4 of those like we talked about. Now we're going to practice fractioning, partitioning our circle today, and we're going to divide it into equal parts so that we have our shape divided in half, and we'll see 2 halves. So this first one, I'm going to label it whole. We're going to keep this one as a whole shape, and I'm going to write the word whole in the middle because we always start with a whole shape. Now I'm going to take this circle, my circle number 2, and I'm going to find the center and take that straight line vertically down. Okay, as straight as I can and as equal as I can. All right. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to label this with some words that we've been using, okay? So what I want you to do first is write 2 equal parts. We're using our vocabulary for this just so we can get very familiar with these math words. So this vertical slice, and we'll label it 2 equal parts. Now, what I want you to do with your third circle, let's try that horizontal straight line down the middle, as straight as you can get. If you're using a pencil and you don't get it quite in the center, you can always erase. All right, now we're going to use this word here, and we're going to say that we divided this whole circle into 2 halves. We're really saying the same thing when we say 2 equal parts and 2 halves. So that's what it will look like. And then finally, we're going to take this last circle and we're going to try out that diagonal slice. This one will be a little tricky. Again, if you're using your pencil, okay, and you want to get 2 equal parts diagonally. Now we're going to do something fun with this one. We're going to be shading 1/2. We've done some shading before in math. I'm going to use a colored pencil. You can just use the side of your pencil if you want, or you can use a crayon. And when I shade in 1/2, I'm going to take my colored pencil and I'm just going to fill in 1/2 of my shape to show that there are 2 parts, but 1 part is shaded. And I'm going to try to do this fast so you can see what my shaded circle looks like, or half of circle. Again, you can just use your pencil if you want. Okay, so we've got a whole circle. We divided this circle diagonally using a straight line, and we shaded 1/2 of the circle. Now we're going to use some numbers. You know how we can use words and models and numbers to represent math ideas? So we're going to be using numbers on this one. So I'm going to grab my pencil again, and this time I'm going to write the number 2 underneath this circle that I have fractioned in half. Write the number 2 because there are 2 parts. And then I'm going to draw a line on top to separate the 2 from what I'm going to put above it. Okay? Now, because one part is shaded, one half of the circle is shaded, I am going to write the number 1. And this is the way you can use numbers to show one half of something is shaded, or you have a half of something. All right, today we have worked on fractioning two-dimensional shapes into equal parts. We have started with a whole shape. We used a straight line to divide a shape in half, and we could recognize that when we did that, we had 2 halves of our whole. And we can even see that you can take a straight line in different ways, vertically, horizontally, and diagonally, and fraction two-dimensional shapes in different ways. All right, I hope that you had fun doing this fractional math activity today. We're going to continue to work on these skills this week, and some of those sheets that I sent home in packet number 2, we're going to be picking those up and we're going to be completing those as we work together. All right, until next time, have a good one.